Welcome to Toil Studio. My name is Kendall Kessler. I was going to do another skyline painting today, but I just didn't get my act together, wasn't sure which one I was going to do. So I've decided to do a suggestion painting. I always like to do this. This is my series where I just put a lot of color down and react to the colors and textures, and if some kind of shape shows up, I go with it and develop it. If it doesn't, then it's going to be one of my center of my mind paintings, where it is music without words, colors and textures for the beauty in them and how I've arranged them. So I've thought a lot about how I wanted to do this because I like to take different approaches, and I was thinking about maybe having the canvas partly wet, and then I thought, no, I'm just gonna put the colors on and see what happens and just go with it. I am going to use a fairly small brush, not a real tiny brush. I did think that it might be nice to really do a lot of circular motion. But I'm going to do all kinds of things. Been a really busy week, and we're coming up on such an important election that I'm real concerned about. I'm not going to say who I'm voting for, but I am real concerned because I think there are some strange things going on that I haven't witnessed in my lifetime. Worries of voter intimidation and ballots not being counted. We voted the second day that you could at the registrars because we are so concerned. And I certainly want to encourage everybody watching this, please get out and vote. It's so important. This is a democracy, and we've got to take part. Otherwise, it could turn into something else, and we certainly don't want that to happen. So be sure to get your vote counted. Well, already kind of like what's happening. I do love to paint, and I'm going to soon be putting up my latest oil painting, which is done over a lot of time. I can't get to each layer very quickly because they got to dry. And the way I paint, it's an impasto method, but I don't use a palette knife, which is what a lot of people do. I use a brush, and I think the effect is really different. If you look at my paintings, they, as many people have told me, make you want to touch them, which is really nice. I love to hear that because they are very what we call tactile paintings. I don't see the thing yet, but I'm just going to keep on fooling around with this. And as always, with my oil paintings, it's a real arm wrestle. I love that. A teacher said that to me once. I thought that's really true. We go one way, we go another way. We have an idea at the beginning, but then it may not work out. And it's never just a matter of painting something. That's what a lot of people think. It's always a creation, always an arrangement, regardless of where the idea came from or the level of abstraction. And what I like to do is to try to represent as much as I can the incredible beauty of nature, of warm and cool colors as they're changing. Well, I can't change in my painting, but what I mean is trying a lot of what Monet did, but also trying to put myself into it. It's if you've watched it in my YouTube, you probably heard this before, that it's a mistake that a lot of people make, a lot of critics made when Monet was alive, saying, oh, he's doing is reproducing nature, so what? He's not really creating anything, it's not creative. And that's not true. He would change them oftentimes in his studio. He was trying to get a particular effect before the light changed, but it was always his creation. And he said that he was maximizing appearances. That's nothing. He would bring things out as beautiful as they could be and then add himself into it. And he actually, a lot of people don't know this, but he actually destroyed like 600, I think, canvases that he didn't like. And it wasn't a matter of not capturing the light. It was they just didn't turn out right for him in terms of art. And that is a big problem. God, when you paint, any painters out there, you know what I'm talking about. It is so hard to be happy, completely happy with a painting. And you just have to really step away. That's what I've learned to do. Just get away from it for a while. Usually after a while, they look better. And what was driving you crazy doesn't drive you crazy anymore. And you think, and many times, like, well, I know exactly what to do if I really think that's such a big deal. It's a fascinating process. I've been painting since I was 12 in oils, and I feel like I can just do so many things with it because it's just something I've been doing for such a long time. And like all artists, that's one of the reasons it costs so much. I've been doing this forever, and I'm continuing, and I will never stop improving in my techniques. And that's a lot of what you're paying for, is my expertise. It's not something I can show somebody in a couple minutes. I can't teach anybody to do it the way I do it. No way in the world. I get a smaller brush. This is it's getting really interesting as the center of my mind painting, but I'm not really getting anything. I think I might just see what happens if I use a smaller brush and get into it more. I don't want to lose the color contrast as I'm doing this, because if you've seen any of my work, you know I'm real nut on color. So artists have a term for that. It's called colorist. We just really, really get into color. Whenever I do something in black and white, I have to have lots and lots of grays, because that's a type of color, and I'm not really happy doing just line drawings, although I do have some I like. More and more I'm just reacting to this as an abstract. I'm not seeing anything yet. And that's okay. Maybe it'll just be, I like the way it is bleeding. I had thought about that, like I said, that I might just get it wet and let some of it bleed. But because of the amount of paint I'm putting onto this, it's bleeding anyway in places. I don't know. It's getting a little too muted for me. Now I really like vibrancy, so I'll see if I can kick it up. Knock it up a little here with some real strong color. I haven't been using much white. Might use a little more white into it. I don't think I'm really seeing a thing, but as I've said before, lots of times I don't think there's anything there, and then I look at it when it's dry and oh, look at that, and I pick those things out. If you've heard me talk about these before, you've heard about the one about the fox. I was so sure I didn't have a single thing in one, and I really wanted to, and I thought, well, nothing came up. And then I put it aside and looked, and I thought, oh my God, right at the top there's a fox, and it looks like it's running. So I brought that out, and then I think there are a few more things like birds or something, and it was just amazing, because I was so sure that nothing had come up. This may be one that I do as a center of my mind and go back into, make it a lot more complicated. Trying to see, is anything really showing up? It's like looking at clouds, but I'm not really seeing anything. Lots of times little faces come out, and I hadn't planned on that at all. And that's really fun. And in one of my recent ones that I did leave as the center of my mind, I could have turned into a suggestions painting, because it looked like a little mammal, like a chipmunk. It looked just like a little chipmunk there, but it was so faint. And I just decided, nah. Well, color's gonna start getting muddy soon. I don't know. I think this is probably just gonna be center of my mind painting. And if this is the first one you've ever watched of my paintings, you're gonna have to hear what that is. Since I've always run into people that think artists that do that are doing it because they can't draw, which is so wrong. And they laugh at it, and now, of course, there are a lot of people who understand it very well, but there are some that look at a totally abstract painting and just think, oh, the artist can't draw. And that is not true at all. It is music without words. We all have biases. We all have certain things we like to see, certain things we're not that crazy about. I've never been that fascinated with cars. A lot of people are. So I'm not going to be as interested in a painting of a car as someone else. I really like to see ballerinas, dancers, so I'm going to be interested in that sort of thing. You may not be. And the list goes on and on. Some people love to look at sunsets. Some people, that's not that great. Some people just really want to have people in it. And some people, rather just see a landscape. So you can see where I'm going with this. If you don't have any recognizable shapes, then you have to like it just for the way it looks. You either have to like it for the way the artist put together colors and the textures and the lines for a visual experience, or you don't. And you don't have to. But you can't say, well, I like it because it's a horse. I don't like it because it's a horse. I like it because it's a car. Well, I don't like it because it's a car. It's never, ever anything but paint and arrangements of shapes. And you can have a very interesting arrangement of shapes that aren't recognizable, and great colors and textures that aren't a sunset. Anyway, boy, I really like this as a center of my mind one. I don't see a thing except for, because of these swirls, you could kind of turn these things into fish and all. That happens a lot when I do this kind of painting. And that looks kind of like a bird right through there, a purple bird. So, I don't know. I really like the way it's bled, and if I keep going into it, I'm going to lose all that because I think that looks really nice. I don't know if I want to work on it more or not. It's only been 11 minutes. So, maybe I'll just do a little tiny bit more where there's little white areas. I always like to get rid of the white. I do want to keep the strong color, and I'm going to lose it if I'm not careful. Oh, so busy. Love art, and I love all the arts. If I had a bunch of lifetimes, I would pursue every one of them. As it is, I play my piano every day, and I do dance every day. And I've always greatly admired dancers. I just think it's fascinating. They work so hard. I can't imagine having to practice the way they do every day of their life. And you may have heard this saying, which I really like, dance or die. I can understand that. I paint or die. If I couldn't paint, I think I would be dead. This is my art. This is my expression. This is my life. But I can understand. I could see how dancing could be so much a part of your life that if you couldn't do it, you just wouldn't want to be alive. I love playing my piano, but that is something that gets harder and harder as you get older because your hands just aren't as good. I've been working with Hanon and scales. I know my fingers are not as good as they used to be, and that's really, really awful, but that's the way it is. I know that David Garrett, famous violinist, spends 3 hours every day doing scales. I can believe that. To keep your hands going, to be able to have great technique your whole life, you really, really, I'm sure you would really have to do that every day of your life. All right. I don't know. Maybe when it dries, it'll be like that fox one where I'll actually see something. But I don't see anything, although I could easily pull out some fish here. I don't really see anything very definite. And I really like the way it looks. So it may just be, I don't mean it may just, it will probably be a center of my mind painting, which I take just as seriously as any of my other paintings. So thank you for looking. Please be sure to click on the link in the description to see the final painting. I may change it. I may bring some stuff out after I look at it for a while. I may not. And also there are links to my website and to other sites that have my work.